If your toilet leaks like this on the side while you're flushing the toilet, you probably need to replace the gasket. I'm going to show you how coming up. How to replace a toilet tank gasket and bolts. I'm going to follow the instruction listed on the packaging that comes with the toilet tank gasket and bolt replacement kit. Now the instructions here have listed it in only 4 steps. However, I'm going to break it down a little bit further into additional steps since this is a tutorial video. So step 1 is to shut off the water. On the left hand side of the toilet, there's a supply line and you just turn the knob to the right. Remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Step 2, drain the tank. You'll need to make sure all the water is out of the tank. I recommend taking the lid off the tank and manually holding the chain up so that as much water as possible can drain out. If you still have some water left in the tank afterwards, use a towel or rag to soak the water up. Step 3, disconnect the supply line. You will be taking the tank off the bowl to remove and replace the other parts, so you'll need to disconnect the line. Remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And when you disconnect the line, there may be some water still in the line that may drip out, so be sure to have a small bucket, pot, or bowl that can catch the water. Otherwise, you'll have to mop it up afterwards. Step 4, remove the tank and the tank bolts. The bolts in the bottom of the tank that I have are rusted, as you see the 2 brown connection spots at the very bottom here. I attempted to remove the rust off the top in order to gain access to the screw heads. Once I removed the rust off the screw heads, you see there wasn't much left, as indicated by the picture shown here. This is the bolt on the right hand side, and this is the bolt on the left hand side. As you see, the left hand bolt is basically gone. Once I did get the bolts removed from the left hand side, the right hand side was pretty easier to get out since the head was still attached to it, whereas the left hand side was completely disintegrated. So on the bottom of this tank, there's a washer as well as a nut, and you just have to remove the washer and nut all the way off, and then the bolt will come out. Step 5, remove tank gasket. This is a pretty simple step. You just pull the rubber off the bottom. Here are the bolts that I did remove. This one is the left one. As you see, it does not have a screw head on top of it. And this one is the right one. And it does still have the screw head on top of it, although it is damaged. And here is the old gasket on the left and the new gasket on the right. As you see, the old gasket is slightly bigger, and this is probably due to it being stretched and being in use for a while. The new gasket is smaller, but should fit as it is made out of rubber. Step 6, install the new gasket. The new gasket goes over the bottom of the tank, and you may have to stretch it to fit, as I did in my case, but it shouldn't take too much effort. And if you do have to stretch it, it should be relatively easy as it is a rubber gasket. Once you get it on, make sure you push it all the way down in an effort so that there are no space or room for leakage. Step 7, clean the mounting points. As you see, the mounting points, especially on the bolt on the left-hand side of the toilet, is very dirty and even with some black corrosion. Be sure to clean these off, as you'll want to make sure that everything is clean so that it makes a great seal when connected back together. If you leave any dirt behind, it may not connect as well, and you still may end up having a leak after you get done. Step 8, install the new bolts. So basically you take the bolt and put in the rubber washer, and you push it all the way to the bolt head. And then laying the tank down, you'll stick the bolt through the bolt hole at the bottom of the bowl. And there's 2 of these, so you'll need to do this process twice. One for the left, one for the right. Then if you need to, you can add the washer and the nut on the bottom. On the package instructions that I have, it stated that this is an optional step, but it all depends on the configuration of how the toilet is built. Since my toilet previously had a nut and washer in this location, I decided to install a nut and washer in this location. Step 9, install the tank. So take the tank, make sure you line the bolt holes up, and lay it on the openings as well as the toilet flange. And you may want to rock it down just a little bit just to make sure that the rubber gasket actually seals in very well. Step 10, install washers and nuts. There are additional washers and nuts that go under the tank itself that connect the tank to the actual part of the bowl in the rear. You'll need to install these in the following order: with a rubber washer on top, a metal washer next to that, and then finally the nut at the end. Be sure to not over tighten the nut at the end, because if you over tighten it, you can crack the ceramic of the toilet. And if you crack the ceramic of the toilet, you will have to get another toilet. It is preferred that you do a hand tighten only, as you can tell how much pressure is being applied and can stop applying pressure before the ceramic cracks. Step 11, reconnect the supply line. So as you did the disconnect of the supply line, you basically undo what you previously done. So remember, righty tighty, lefty loosey. Step 12, turn on the water. I recommend turning on the water maybe a half to 1 turn. And then once you're confident that there are no leaks or you don't see any leaks, then you can continue turning further. If you turn it all the way on and it starts leaking, then you have to turn it all the way back off. Therefore, you increase the chances of getting water on the floor and anywhere else that is not wanted. Step 13, flush and check for leaks. Once you verify that there is no more leaks, the project has been completed.
Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, if you would like instant notifications, click the bell.